Ever wonder how one tiny decision can completely alter the course of your life? Sounds unbelievable, right? But that single choice is the chasm separating those stuck in a rut from those who achieve the seemingly impossible. And it's not luck. It's something internal, subtle, easily overlooked. I see brilliant, talented, educated, experienced individuals utterly trapped in a repetitive cycle. They wake up each day feeling capable of so much more, yet inexplicably remain stagnant. It's like an invisible cage. They watch opportunities slip away, witness others' success, yet something holds them back when they try to advance. The most intriguing part? Most don't even realize they're trapped. It's not a lack of effort or intelligence. It's what I call a paradigm, a deeply ingrained set of beliefs, habits, and subconscious thoughts acting as a mental autopilot. Think of it as an internal GPS perpetually programmed for the same destination, no matter how many times you try to reroute. So, even with new goals and a commitment to change, within days or weeks, they're back where they started. I know this firsthand. I spent years working myself ragged in jobs I hated, earning barely enough to get by. Mind-numbing tasks, devoid of creativity and satisfaction, leaving me feeling like my life was passing me by. Each day was a carbon copy of the last, and tomorrow promised more of the same. If you've been there, you know the soul-crushing toll. This paradigm isn't a sudden affliction. It begins in childhood, shaped by what we hear, see, and experience. Parents, teachers, friends, even society, repeating phrases like, "Money doesn't grow on trees," "Stability is key," "Don't take unnecessary risks," "Work hard," and "Maybe you'll get ahead." These seemingly innocuous words subtly mold our worldview. Before we know it, we're constrained by beliefs we never consciously chose. What truly fascinates me is seeing incredibly capable people, far more qualified than I ever was, trapped in this same invisible cage. They know what to do to improve, but they don't do it. Ever think, "I know I should do this, but I don't"? That's the paradigm's hallmark. It imprisons not through ignorance, but through false certainty. I recall a powerful encounter, a mother bringing her reluctant 24-year-old son to a meeting. She knew she'd instilled a limited perspective on work and money, and despite her love for her son, she admitted, "I programmed him wrong." This happens daily in countless families, not out of malice but a lack of awareness. The biggest hurdle is that, without shifting the paradigm, effort and hours worked become irrelevant. The outcome remains the same year after year, hugely frustrating for those with big dreams. It's like driving with the parking brake on. You move, but never reach your full potential. The first step is awareness, recognizing this invisible force at play and realizing you don't have to be controlled by it. By understanding your mental operating system, identifying the mental barriers, not external ones, you create space for a new reality. You realize the prison never had walls. The bars were always a mindset. People wait for the perfect moment. "I'll start my business when I have enough money," they say, or "I'll move when the kids are older." Sounds logical, but this mentality traps. The perfect moment never arrives. There's always an unexpected expense, an obligation, a justification for delay. The longer you wait, the further your dream recedes. I've discovered that the decision precedes the resources, always. The mistake is believing the opposite. You don't need the money, the contacts, complete technical knowledge, or perfect conditions to begin. You need to decide. And deciding isn't thinking. Wouldn't it be nice if... It's an unwavering decision, no room for retreat. When I launched my first company, I lacked experience in management, marketing, or capital. I had an intense desire for change and the courage to tell myself, "I'm going to do this." There was no perfect plan, no detailed roadmap, but there was a decision. And once that happened, things started moving. Strangers offered help. Clients emerged from unexpected sources. The result? Over $100,000 in my first year in a field I'd never worked in before. The truth is, when you commit, the brain operates differently. It stops searching for excuses and starts seeking solutions. Opportunities, always present but overlooked, become visible. It's like tuning a radio previously filled with static. The frequency shifts, and you pick up what previously seemed non-existent. I've seen this with hundreds of people. I remember a man at an event, dissatisfied with his low-paying, unfulfilling job. When I explained that he needed to decide first and let the resources follow, he looked skeptical. But he decided to take my advice. Within months, he'd secured his first contract in his own business. The curious thing is, until he made the decision, he had no idea how he'd get clients, but the clarity of his choice attracted exactly what he needed. The big secret is that if you wait for all the answers before acting, you'll spend your life waiting. Successful people don't decide because they're certain how everything will unfold. They decide because they know what they want and trust the path will reveal itself as they move forward. And that's where the magic begins. Closed doors open, unexpected people enter your life, and what seem like coincidences start repeating. So consider this. What would you do today without fearing a lack of resources? What decision would you make, knowing it would set your life in motion? The future doesn't wait, and each day you delay, your dream drifts further away. The decision is the trigger. The rest you build along the way. Everything you desire already exists. It's not in the future nor distant. It's here, now, but on a different frequency than your current thinking. Just like talking on the phone, you need to be on the same frequency to connect. It's the same with your goals. Your thoughts are energy. And as simple as it sounds, this is one of the most powerful concepts. Most people think according to what they see. If bills are overdue, they think scarcity. If the job is unstable, they think fear. If the market seems challenging, they think insecurity. The problem is that, in this mental pattern, they only attract more situations confirming those thoughts. It's like trying to tune into a classical music station, but staying on a frequency broadcasting only static. No matter how much you want to hear the right music, nothing changes without a shift in frequency. When I grasped this, I realized that whenever I fixated on how and where will the money come from, I repelled exactly what I wanted to attract. Only when I focused on the desired outcome, not what I lacked, did things begin to flow. I remember a striking case. I met Phil Goldfine, a man dissatisfied with his low-paying job working for someone he disliked. He didn't know how to escape, but he decided to trust the process. I guided him to shift his mental focus to the life he wanted, not the present difficulties. Today, he's a multi-millionaire and award-winning producer. This wasn't coincidence. It was a consequence of thinking at the right frequency. Each goal resides on a different level, a higher vibration than your current one. And you can't ascend by merely looking upward. You need to align your thoughts with the energy of that new reality. When you act and feel as if you're already there, your brain and body work harmoniously toward that objective. The right ideas start to surface, the right people cross your path, and previously invisible opportunities become apparent. You've likely experienced this even without realizing it. You know when you intensely think about someone and they call, or when you desperately wish for something and an unexpected chance appears. This proves that thought and reality are more interconnected than we're taught to believe. And if this can happen spontaneously, imagine what's possible when done intentionally. The key is understanding that it's not just about wanting something, but wanting it specifically, clearly, and emotionally engagingly. Saying, "I want more money," while still dwelling on debt won't work. You need to define how much, how you want to feel possessing that amount, and mentally place yourself in the position of someone who already has it. When your mind and body operate in this harmony, you stop forcing the outcome and begin attracting it naturally. And that's when life starts to feel synchronized with you. Doors open effortlessly, solutions appear unexpectedly, and the improbable starts to become inevitable. Because ultimately, it's not about creating something from nothing. It's about tuning into something that's always been there, waiting for you to reach the correct frequency. When you truly decide to change, it's not just your life that transforms. Those around you are impacted too, and not everyone will react positively. Resistance often comes not from enemies or strangers, but from those you love and respect, family, friends, colleagues, who ostensibly should be rooting for your success. Not because they don't want you to thrive, but because your change forces them to adapt, disrupting their comfort zone. I've experienced this firsthand. When I left my stable job in the fire department to pursue a completely different path, many looked at me like I'd lost my mind. "You're going to leave a stable job with a steady salary and benefits? That's crazy," they said. And I understand. For them, it was security. For me, It was an invisible prison. I knew that if I stayed, my life would follow a script I didn't want to play. The truth is, people don't resist change itself. They resist being forced to change. When you start acting differently, they need to adjust to the new you. Perhaps you're no longer available for the same conversations, habits, or complaints. Maybe you invest time and energy in things you previously undervalued. This creates discomfort, forcing others to examine their lives and often realize they need to change too. And this is where most give up. The emotional pressure to revert to the way things were can be immense. You hear phrases like, "You're different," "You're not the same," "That's not you." But ultimately, this signifies you're on the right track, because if no one notices change, nothing has truly changed. I recall a situation that stood out. A student of mine had worked as a bartender for 15 years. She was good at it, earned excellent tips, making leaving seem insane. But she had a dream, opening a dog grooming academy. The problem was, this meant sacrificing the security of immediate income, and she lacked entrepreneurial experience in that field. When she finally decided to take the risk, she received disapproval, even from those close to her. But she persevered, and sometime later she was not only doing what she loved, but earning more than in her previous job. So I challenge you, in the next 30 days, make a significant decision without seeking anyone's approval. Whether small or large, the important thing is that it's a choice you believe is necessary for your growth. Notice how it feels to do this. Observe how your behavior changes, and especially how those around you react. This exercise isn't about rebellion. It's about strengthening your ability to act based on your vision, not others' expectations. The fact is, when you decide to change, part of the process involves facing resistance. It's natural, it's human, but it's not a reason to stop, because ultimately those who truly care will adapt and perhaps even find inspiration. And those who don't, maybe that's a sign they shouldn't have such a significant influence on your life. Most people live as extras in their own movies. They appear on screen, fulfill their expected roles, follow a script written by someone else, and exit without ever questioning if it's what they truly want. It's like being in a massive recording studio with thousands of people rushing about, but knowing the camera's focus will never be on you, and worse, accepting this as normal. The problem is that when you don't take the lead role, someone else will always decide for you. Others choose your lines, define the scenes, and even determine when to cut your part. It's society dictating what's possible, family imposing what's acceptable, or fear dictating what's safe. But what if, instead of accepting this script, you decided to write your own? It all begins with a simple yet powerful question. What do I truly want? Not what seems logical, nor what others think you should want, but what, merely thinking about it, makes your heart race. When that answer comes authentically, it's so clear you feel as if you can already touch the final scene of your movie. That's where the magic happens, because clarity generates direction, and direction demands action. When I stopped guiding myself by what was realistic and started pursuing what truly captivated me, my life took a turn I never imagined. Decisions became faster, opportunities more visible, and the energy to act seemed inexhaustible. I was no longer reacting to what happened. I was creating the scenes of my own script. And this is a technique few apply, acting as if it's already real. If you want to be a writer, write daily, even without a signed contract. If you want to start a business, behave like an entrepreneur, even if you still work for someone else. When you live in accordance with the identity you desire, your environment begins to mold itself to reflect this new version of yourself. It's as if the universe is adjusting the set for the protagonist you've decided to be. The most fascinating part is that when you assume this role, you realize it was never about luck or coincidence. It's about intention, decision, and consistency. You surround yourself with people who reinforce your vision, conversations shift, your priorities align with what you want, and even difficulties become part of the narrative, not insurmountable obstacles. Your movie is being filmed right now. The question is, will you continue appearing as an anonymous face in the crowd, or will you take the script in hand and say, "This is my story, and I am the protagonist"? Because ultimately, no one will remember the scenes where you stood idly in the background. What makes a mark is your performance in the lead role, and that role is available to you as soon as you decide you're the author of your own story. There comes a point where you need to stop accumulating information and start applying even if you don't feel ready. I see so many people jumping from course to course, book to book, video to video, waiting for the day they'll know enough to act. It's as if they're building a library within their minds, but never open the door for the outside world to see. The problem is that this perfect day of total preparedness never arrives. There will always be something new to learn, a detail to adjust, a reason to wait a little longer. I lived through this. When I started studying personal development, I dove in head first. I read everything I could find, attended seminars, listened to countless audio tapes. Each new piece of information gave me a temporary boost, but soon I'd be back to square one, until I realized I was addicted to learning, not acting. Real change only came when I started applying what I knew, even feeling unprepared. What most don't realize is that clarity doesn't come before action, it comes during action. It's like driving at night with your headlights on. You don't see the entire path, but you see enough to move forward a few meters. And as you move, the next stretch appears. If you wait to see the whole road before starting, you'll remain stationary forever. I remember a man who told me he dreamed of public speaking but never felt ready. He said, "I need to improve my oratory skills, understand the topic better, watch more presentations." Until one day, driven by circumstance, he agreed to speak to a small group. He was terrified, thinking it was awful, but afterward people approached him to thank him and request more talks. That's when he realized, if he'd waited to be perfect, he'd never have started. What I want you to understand is that when you act, even with fear and insecurity, something changes internally. Your confidence grows, your perception expands, and the world begins to respond differently. People around you start seeing you as someone who does, not just someone who talks, and this shift in perception opens doors that were previously closed. Accept this challenge. Identify a task you've been procrastinating on due to feeling inadequate and complete it in the next 24 hours. Perfection isn't the goal. The ideal time is now. Just do it. After all, it's not theoretical knowledge that transforms, but it's practical application. By acting, even without all the answers, you discover your own capacity, greater than you imagined. Unlocking your full potential starts with mastering something, anything, and applying that knowledge wisely. That's the cornerstone of real, lasting inner change. And speaking of change, my next video is waiting to help you along your learning journey, offering small incremental steps forward. Thanks for joining me on this adventure. I'll see you in the next one, as we continue this quest to become the best versions of ourselves. Self-improvement isn't a sprint. It's a marathon of continuous growth, a climb toward your peak performance. Don't be afraid to take that first seemingly insignificant step. Every small win, every task completed, even if imperfectly, builds confidence and fuels motivation. Consistency is key. Focus on daily progress, on the accumulation of tiny victories that together create monumental shifts in your life. Forget comparing yourself to others. Focus on your own pace and progress. Perfection is a myth. Strive for excellence in each step. See your mistakes as learning opportunities, stepping stones on the path to success. Self-belief is forged in the fires of action, in continuous practice. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Create it through action. Remember, the journey itself is as important as the destination. Savor each step, celebrate wins, learn from challenges. Don't abandon your dreams no matter how impossible they seem. Perseverance and dedication are your greatest allies. Keep learning, keep growing, keep evolving. Success is a marathon, not a 100-meter dash. And hey, my next video is ready, waiting to guide you on another leg of this exciting journey of self-discovery. Thanks for being here. See you in the next one. Keep going, keep growing, keep evolving. Transformation begins with you. With the decision to take action, to move toward your goals, obstacles be damned. Don't let fear of failure or judgment paralyze you. Failure is just a chance to learn and become stronger. Believe in yourself, in your potential, in your ability to overcome any challenge. You're capable of far more than you think. Keep striving for your best, every day, every moment. Remember, success isn't a destination. It's a continuous journey of learning and growth. Thanks again for joining me. Until next time, keep evolving.